This is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee, setting up for a live stream. We're going to cover the ongoing Gaza missile rocket attack on Israel that started about 5 a.m. in the morning. And right now it's 8:16 in the morning here in the Holy Land. My name's Moshe. I'm in Israel, and I live in the Galilee, so the rockets from Gaza don't reach up here. Every time you hear one of these alerts, this is a red alert, the bell going off, I'm going to keep it on in my pocket. That's another rocket or missile coming into Israel. Okay? So I'm going to keep that on for effect so you know how serious this is. Now, I got up, the dogs got me up about 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why. I thought they had to go to the bathroom because I took them in slightly earlier last night, but I heard some helicopters. Which I could assure you were ours, because I didn't hear, probably military leaders going up to the north just in case Lebanon decides to join into this Gaza missile rocket attack, which they did not. There is no attack from Syria. There is no attack from Iraq. There is no attack from Lebanon or anybody else. It's just Gaza. Now, since this is Shabbat, the news is rather sketchy. They just kicked in about 45 minutes ago, I'd say, and started giving out news. The IDF made a statement. So it's a little bit difficult. Not a little bit, it's quite difficult to get any kind of news right now. Okay? It's rather difficult, I would say. So it's starting to come in sketchy, okay? And we're getting a picture as to what really happened, and it was a fairly well-organized, well-planned, for them, attack. And we're getting a picture as to what really happened, and it was I'm trying to do two things at once here. Set up the live stream while this is going on, and you can keep hearing these, I don't know what you call them, bells going off, and that each one is another rocket or projectile coming in. I was going to the Arab social media in Arabic and translating it to get an idea what's going on, because Israel is still waking up on Shabbat. But now the news is starting to trickle in, very small. It was a double-pronged attack, which I will explain to you. Give me a second. Just doing a little housekeeping in the chat. I'll be done in seconds. Okay. What they did by the Gaza fence is in the middle of this missile rocket attack, they pushed through the fence in some points, and terrorists from Gaza, either PIJ, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hamas, other groups. The two big ones are Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas. have sent infiltrators into Israel, and the Arabs are saying they took over a kibbutz already. Did they catch Israel with their pants down? A little bit they did, for sure. I'll read you some of the stuff I got out of the Arab media that I translated, and you'll understand what's going on, and then we'll continue while this is going on. I'll keep doing updates. So we're going to do a live stream coverage of the attack, which is ongoing now. Commander-in-Chief of the Qassam, Mohammed Al-Deif, whoever that is. This is from Gaza. We announced the start of Operation Al-Aqsa Flood and announced that the first strike, which targeted the enemy's positions, airports, and military fortifications, exceeded 5,000 missiles and shells. Whatever they mean by a shell, I don't know. As far as I know, they don't have artillery. Now, this is an urgent message coming from Muhammad Al-Deif, the same dude. Oh, our brothers in the Islamic resistance in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, this is the day when your resistance unites with the resistance of your people in Palestine. Is this telling us that this is going to happen, or this is telling us that they are asking them to join in? I think asking them to join in. The resistance took over kibbutz Be'eri. I don't know much about that kibbutz. There are many kibbutz and moshavs in the south and the Negev near Gaza. Most kibbutzes down there would have an arsenal, and they would have people that, when they're called up, they'll run to the arsenal, grab weapons, ammo, radio, and patrol the perimeter of the kibbutz. So I expect there was gunfire and other problems down there. I do not have any reports. See, it's ongoing. I do not have any reports of casualties or damage. I know some buildings were destroyed, and I know one woman, I think Ashdod, I don't know if she was Arabic or Jewish or Druze or I don't know what. Her car was hit by a rocket, and she's in what's called critical condition. Critical condition, the way they talk, means she's in the hospital in the ICU. In other words, her injuries are life-threatening. If they say moderate, or if they say mild injuries, usually the ambulance, Magan David, they refer to them as, will treat them on the scene. Clean the wound, bandage, remove any debris, shrapnel, and tell them to go see the doctor or go see, get more treatment down the road in a day or next day or later or something like that. Moderate means they take them to the hospital and they're not, in critical. Critical means that they're, in bad shape. Okay, so you could pray for the woman that got injured. Now, I do not know if that was the only casualty. I do not know nothing yet. They got us off guard. It's reminding me of the Yom Kippur War. This is the largest missile/rocket attack I have seen from Gaza to date. We have seen missile attacks go into the thousands, but over days. This is insane. This was planned and staged. The trigger on this, they're saying, the Gaza religious leaders are saying, or the military leaders are saying, that it was due to the Israelites going up onto the Temple Mount by the Al-Aqsa and praying in the last several days because they observed their Feast of Tabernacles on the rabbinical Talmudic date, not the biblical Hebrew date. But their calendar is incorrect. So that appears to be the provocation that brought this on. Now, you might want to make sure you subscribe to the channel so you'll get the updates. I don't know how long this is going to go on. I do not know much. I know that about an hour ago I started hearing Israeli Air Force jets up in the north. Now they were, and I believe I heard a drone. So they're probably surveillancing, looking for infiltrators in the north, predominantly from Lebanon or possibly Jordan or I don't know what. Okay. And the planes are flying around, probably doing recon to Lebanon. The planes were pretty high in altitude and they were not moving especially fast. So they're probably running about 500, 600 miles an hour. They weren't really kicking it, you know. So they were not in a hurry to get someplace real fast. And I have not heard any missiles being launched from the north. And I do know what they sound like. Some of them anyway. So that's then I figured that remember I lived here for many years, and I figured that when we're hearing planes in the north, the planes are launched in the south and are bombing installations in Gaza where their surveillance equipment is telling them the rockets are being launched from. Now, this is, you must understand, a massive attack for them to fire. If they're telling the truth, mind you, let me repeat, they may be exaggerating, but if they're telling, I think that probably it's in the thousands. It may not be 5,000, but I would be shocked if it wasn't 1,800 or something like that, you know. I would be. I mean, it's so big. I mean, I would say maybe 1,100 would be the least, but it could be up in the many thousands. And that number was an old number now. It could be up higher. They have been concentrating a lot on Tel Aviv. Now, that will, and I'm sure has, irritated the Israeli government to the nth degree. Now, we did get a statement already from the Israeli Defense Forces press office. IDF spokesman announces that about an hour ago, this is probably 2 or 3 hours ago, carried out a combined, when it started was, I think, probably around 5 a.m., maybe 5:30, the latest 6 o'clock. And right now it's 8:31. And it hasn't stopped. The IDF spokesman announces that about an hour ago, Hamas carried out a combined operation that included firing rockets and terrorist infiltration into the territory of the State of Israel. The IDF will protect the residents of the State of Israel. The terrorist organization Hamas will pay a very heavy price. The public is asked to obey the orders of the Home Front Command to stay in their protected areas, and residents of the Gaza Strip are asked to stay in their homes. The schools are closed today in Israel. Sunday is Monday. Like Europe and America, Monday, well, that's Sunday in Israel. We go back to work on Sunday. So what else can I tell you? So today is Saturday. Okay, so they're saying they close the schools for tomorrow. Jeeps full of terrorists have entered from the Gaza Strip and are terrorizing Israeli localities in the south. How is it possible that terrorists have not already discovered and shot at the border fence? Only now there are clashes with Israeli soldiers in the localities. This is unbelievable. See, this is what happens when we have a moron like Netanyahu. Gaza and, Lebanon built up during the days Netanyahu was prime minister. This idiot is not a right-winger. He's left of center. Maybe center, best case. He's horrible. Horrible. He doesn't protect us. We've been having, I don't know which God he serves, but I could guarantee you it's not Jehovah. Who started this, what kind of parades through Jerusalem, the only city in the world named after God? It's pronounced in Hebrew, Yerushalayim, and Yah is a name for God, is it not? Yes, it is. Okay? This man is horrible. They've been trying to get rid of him. There's been protests for about 40 weeks to get rid of him. He's in three criminal cases that are actively proceeding now, which would give him 16 years in jail. He's changing the judicial system so he will not go to jail. He's trying to, he can't. And how would you persuade the Israelis to do what America wants, which is a two-state solution? How would you do that? Let the terrorists attack Israel. Let the Gaza attack Israel. What these nincompoops under Netanyahu should have done, they've never done, and that's go into Gaza with the tanks and the soldiers once and dismantle it. How do you do that? Well, it's not hard for us to do that. You just go to every building. We know where all the buildings and installations are. You go to every building and installation they have, and you destroy their computers, their records, their files, their uniforms, their ammunition, their food, their everything. All their ammo depots, weapons manufacturing facilities. It would take a few days. You just dismantle it and destroy it and just leave them there. What are you going to waste your time putting them in jail or anything like that? Just leave them there. And then you go back and you stop letting them go work in Israel. Why did we let them come into Israel on passes and work? See, the guy is no good. It's a simple thing to end it. And what they'll tell you is, oh, the nations in the world are going to scream and yell. They scream and yell anyway. They probably 98% of the United Nations countries want a Palestinian state. They want us to give the land of the West Bank over to the Palestinians, who are going to do nothing there other than what they did in Gaza, which that moron Netanyahu was involved in giving Gaza back too. Although the Americans pushed us very, very hard to do that. What would they do? They would put missiles and rockets and tanks and artillery and everything else in the West Bank, and instead of just being attacked from Gaza right now, we'd be being attacked from the West Bank right now at the same time. This is idiotic. How do you get rid of Israel? Well, you use the salami theory. You cut a slice off every time you can, and then there's nothing left. Netanyahu is the cause of this attack. Netanyahu is an idiot. He's not a smart guy. He's evil. He's not smart. Okay? This is on him and the people he puts in. We got taken off guard with our pants down, they would say, like in the 67 war. The missiles and rockets are still coming in. Still coming in. What's he doing? He's using restraint, obviously. They put missile launches in between buildings, civilian structures, schools, hospitals, stores, anything, houses. So Netanyahu's position is low. Well, we're not going to blow the houses up. That's not good. So he lets Israel take rockets. I hope now when this is over, and it'll be over in another hour or two, I guess. When this is over, they really throw Netanyahu out. Okay? He's terrible. He's the cause of this. Him and his cockamamie moron practices, and this time as prime minister, all the guy seems to care about is getting himself out from his criminal cases. So he's throwing Israel under the bus. So he's trying to use Biden to help him get popularity with the people with stupid things like a normalization of relations with Saudi Arabia. What good would that do Israel? The defense contractor companies in Israel would make a lot of money because the first thing Saudi would want to do is buy Iron Domes and buy this and buy that from us, and then we'd sell it to them, and Israel would take in $200 billion or $300 billion, some crazy number, because the Saudis are scared to death of Iran. So a lot of money would flow into Israel, it would go to the companies, and they pay 23% tax on the profits, and whether they wish to declare profits, then that money would go to the government, and would it filter down to the people? I seriously doubt it. Am I going to go out and say that it's corruption and they would kick back to Netanyahu government over this? I don't know if they would or they wouldn't. I don't know if that goes on or not. I can't say it. There's a lot of people in Israel that suspect stuff like that, but do we know? No, we don't know. They say Netanyahu has big bank accounts in offshore banks. Do we know that? No, we don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know if it's true. But I know he's bad, and he's on trial for 3 counts of corruption, facing 16 years, and he's dismantling the Israeli justice system to get himself out of the criminal cases. He wants to get a law passed that says whatever he did during prime minister days, he's immune from. Trump's trying the same thing with his Supreme Court, by the way, on the federal case in the Supreme Court. I think Trump will prevail. I don't know if Netanyahu will ever get that law passed. I seriously doubt it. You hear all these rockets going off? This is this nincompoop doing it. So Biden wants a 2-state solution. So Netanyahu needs Biden to make the Saudi normalization thing get better. So he's probably doing what the Americans would tell Netanyahu: use restraint, use restraint, use restraint. We want to do this Saudi deal. If you start blowing the Gazans up, there's going to be pressure on the Saudis and they're going to walk away from the normalization. Who cares? A handful of countries have moved their embassies to Jerusalem. Who cares? What does that do? Look at us today. Does that help us? No, it does nothing. Netanyahu's trying to pull the wool over the people's eyes and make them think it's meaningful. It's not meaningful. And they scare the people here into thinking, oh, if we retaliate, the nations are going to rise up against them. You read your Bible, the nations are going to rise up anyway. Read the Psalm 83 and combine it with Zechariah 12. Psalm 83 is Zechariah 12. That is the next war. It's not Gog and Magog. In Gog and Magog, the 10 tribes are back from the second Exodus. Okay? And Israel is living without bars and walls and peace and safety. It's in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Right there. Read it. And we got wealth and riches, gold and cattle and silver. Does that sound like Israel today? 2.5 million approximately live at the poverty line here. Yes, it's true. It's true. Now, he has an ultra-Orthodox contingent in his coalition, Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, and they're going to scream at Netanyahu that he got to do a strong retaliation against them, or they're going to blow his coalition. So this could be the end of Netanyahu. Then we have to go to a vote of no confidence. He loses. We go to new elections, which will take at least 90 days, probably 110, 120 days. And Benny Gantz will win. Not that he's much better. He really isn't. He really isn't. At least you know what you got with this character, a left winger. Okay? He's no better. A little better. A little bit. He doesn't want to dismantle the judicial system. He's not facing criminal cases. So yes, he's better. He's better, but not by much. Okay? So if this is still ongoing, I mean, what Netanyahu should have done by now is had 50 jets flying in groups of 25, bombing the daylights out of all these sites, houses, buildings, hospitals. Who cares? You got to save your people. He's not saving his people. Do we have the ability to shut this down in Gaza? Yes. Easily, without a ground invasion. Is he doing it? No. Is the Iron Dome knocking these things down? No, it's a swarm attack. The Iron Dome can't possibly handle all this. Thousands of missiles? No. Iron Dome launches have, I think, 8 missiles in the pod. They shoot 2 at a projectile. So they've long ago would have run out of missiles. They have a good radar and it projects the trajectory of the missile. And if the missile's not going to land in a populated area, they ignore it. Let's see what kind of updates I can get now. I mean, I try to look for the updates, and then more updates come in. I can't even read it. We'll have to go. I'm going to go into the Arab media now and see what I can pick up from this Gaza media. I'm translating this stuff. This is coming from the Lion's Den groups. That's terrorists. Our lone wolves must act immediately and urgently now, and before anything else, all fighters must close ranks and go out to occupy with ambush of bullets and blessed bombs. All free and honorable citizens must go out with huge and massive marches and raise the voice of God is great in all fields. All owners of shops and homes located near occupation checkpoints and settlements must withdraw recording devices and turn off cameras immediately. For everyone who owns a weapon and does not use it to defend religion and their homeland, it is time for you to emerge as a man and perform your duty of honor and manhood. This is what's coming out of Gaza. Now, because they say these things, does not mean that they're gonna listen to them. Don't believe that they're gonna get listened to. It doesn't work that way. They don't always listen to them. All right. Whoops. Let me try that again. Okay, this is getting really bad. I think it's time for Netanyahu to go. Israeli soldiers have been captured by the infiltrators. Now, why is Netanyahu so stupid to let our God down like this? After the terrorists from Gaza have infiltrated the Gaza Strip settlements, they have photos showing the capture of a number of Israeli soldiers. Okay, let's get those pictures and I'll hold them up on the screen. This apparently is in Israel territory. I can't see Israeli soldiers that are captured though. So I don't know how real this is. I just don't know, guys. But let's keep going through the media. This is really bad because if they they got a problem. If they captured the Israeli soldiers in Israel, they got to get them back to Gaza. And that might not be so easy. Our tanks are all over the place down there, and they have 2 machine guns plus an artillery piece. Some have mortars and some have other weapons. So these people are lightly armed, and the machine guns can mow down, massive amounts in minutes. This idiot Netanyahu. But the people voted him in. They got what they voted for. They have a goal of liberating terrorists in jail in Israel, but I don't think it's going to get that far. Our defense minister's calling up the reserves. This is serious. Now, if Lebanon and or Syria gets into it, that's biblical proportions. Hamas gunmen infiltrated an Israeli police station in Sderot, and there were casualties. See, this is on Netanyahu's head, that idiot. But the Israelis voted for this moron. So we don't just have rockets attacks, we're under invasion. And during the Netanyahu years, the Arabs in Israel have in excess, according to sources that I don't know if it's good or bad sources, in excess of 100,000 weapons that are illegal. And he's never done beans to take it away. Yet he restricts the Israelis from having weapons pretty seriously. I mean, you can get a gun permit, but it's rather difficult unless you live in the territories. And, so what is Netanyahu's real agenda? Is it what comes out of his mouth, that he's pro-Israel, or is he trying to cater to the nations and divide Israel? What is he really up to? Look around you today. What do you think he's up to? Make your own conclusion. Messages are coming in faster than I can process them. Gaza is experiencing exceptional joy with the return of the fighters who stormed the cover settlements. Well, it's trying to, make it more pleasant for the Gaza people that are getting bombed and attacked with artillery from tanks right now. Dozens of gunmen stormed an Israeli army site in the northern Gaza Strip where soldiers were captured. Now, what's Jehovah going to do about this? Well, those of you that study me when I talk about prophecy, which is predominantly what I do, you know what's going to happen. The two witnesses are going to be deployed pretty darn quick. They're in Israel. They're waiting for the light to go green and get equipped. I'm reading the chat. Somebody's saying leave their land. I don't know who they're talking to. Okay, let's see what the updates are now. Got another one out of Gaza. Let's see if we could read it and make sense out of it. I have not seen any real pictures of Israeli soldiers captured. They say they got a video of a community they invaded. Let me see. I cannot tell what's going on. They're saying that they're terrorist soldiers walking around in a community. I don't know if it's true. I don't know this community. I can't tell. It could be true. Could be true. Netanyahu facing 16 years in jail on 3 criminal counts, corruption related. One is 3 years, another is 3 years, and one is 10 years. He's been unable to reduce the judiciary so he could get out. He wants to pass a French law, they call it, giving him immunity from anything he did as prime minister. And he's trying to dismantle the judiciary in stages, but he's pushing rapidly, and it's not getting anywhere. So he, rather than go to jail, let's just say you have a guy someplace in any country in the world, you pick a country, and he's facing criminal charges, and he can't get the system changed, and he can't get out of it, and he's 74 years old, and 16 years in jail ain't gonna work. So what does he do? He could get mad and destroy the whole country, then there's no, or let the country get destroyed, and then there's no judicial system. They're going to have to remove him out of office. This is unprecedented. Israelis are it's a very small country. We're very close-knit. It's a very big Jewish neighborhood, you might say. And we're not going to take this lightly. If soldiers were captured inside Israel, this is it. The people are going to want change immediately. They all know it's somebody's kid, somebody's nephew, somebody's niece. Women soldiers could have been captured. Who knows what they'll do to them inside Israel. Now, if they're captured, how are they going to get them back to Gaza? I think that's the chances of that happening are slim and none. So when they go to take the soldiers and get them back, the terrorists will probably be, play the jihadist game and kill the soldiers and then fight to the last bullet and then die. This is an unforgivable sin. If we went into Lebanon and soldiers got captured in Lebanon, all right. If we were fighting in Syria or Iraq and soldiers got, that's one thing. That's war. But this is in Israel territory. This will not be forgiven by the people. They're going to want to get rid of this whole cockamamie regime. And Benny Gantz, the left-winger, is a former top general and Minister of Defense, and he's the one that would more than likely win. I don't know if there's going to be uprisings in the rest of Israel. I'm not getting reports of that, except in Sederot and down at the kibbutzes down there in the moshavs. See, infiltrating the kibbutzes and the moshavs and the settlement in the south near Gaza, that's completely unacceptable. We have such a powerful military and such a great intelligence service. We don't know why this happened, but there'll be investigations. It'll come out. Many Israelis were killed or injured already from the terrorists inside Israel. Netanyahu's goose is cooked. He ain't getting away with this one. This might be the only answer to this that Netanyahu could possibly come up with is an invasion of Gaza. And the fact that they called up the reservists You hear the bell going off? It's still continuing. The rocket attacks haven't stopped. They must have worked on this for a week or two. In other words, our planes and artillery are not able to knock out all the launchers. And believe me, the military's trying. They're not sitting there playing games. It's still ongoing. Okay, let's see what Gaza's saying. They have another update. Let's read it. A little slow because I don't know Arabic. I got to take it out of Arabic. This is what Ashkelon looks like. That's an Israeli city on the Mediterranean coast near Gaza. From all the rockets. Netanyahu ain't getting out of this one. I understand that red alerts were going off in Jerusalem. I have not heard if any rockets hit Jerusalem or not hit Jerusalem. I don't know. They tend to not fire rockets into Jerusalem because they don't want to hit the Dome of the Rock and the mosque. The Israeli army loses control of one of its bases and the Erez crossing, so they're going to start trying to flood in. They're not going to get too far with this, believe me. It's not going to, The only real good retaliation for this is to be to invade Gaza. Now, those of you that follow me with my Bible prophecy know we're in the year of redemption, and it's also the same year, the year of recompenses. And you know that it started around August 1st, so we're in the third month of year of recompenses, which is the same year as redemption, but it starts with the recompenses. Initial reports of many casualties in southern Israel following massive rocket fire and infiltrations. An IDF spokesman says we aren't looking for Hamas targets at present. We need to wipe out Gaza. Well, it's about time. Zechariah 12 coming. If you read Zechariah 12, you'll see the two witnesses there operating, burning up the enemies on the right and the left. Yeah, I know the churches don't talk about it, but forget them. Look in your Bible. They're called the governors. Well, the other word for that is the judges. And who do you know has fire coming out of their mouth? And at the time of the Zechariah attack, which is a siege on Judah and Jerusalem, they surround us. And then the two witnesses burn them up on the right hand and the left hand. Read Revelation 11 with Zechariah 12, and also read Zechariah 4, which explains who the two witnesses are. In the Gaza periphery town of Ofakim, reports of IDF troops and Israeli civilians battling terrorists on the streets. Israel's been invaded. It's a video of terrorists walking around in the streets of Israel. Welcome to the latter days. There are reports. Well, Hamas says they got one Israeli soldier back into Gaza, but it might be his dead body. We don't know. There are reports of several abductions, kidnappings, and some are civilians. Guys, I'm going to need to go get a cup of coffee, okay? I'm sure you could give me that. I've been going since about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Well, about since 6 or so. So I'm going to be back, and I do instant coffee, so it'll be quick, but I need to get a cup of coffee. I think you could understand. You got out. That's lovely. How did you get out? How did you do that? What did I do wrong? How long have you been out? What have you done? Seems like Satan's wanting to end the risk of end times by ending Israel, huh? All right. Somebody deleted our chat entries. That's pretty sick. Somebody doesn't like what we're talking about. This is the blood moon prophecy happening. No, it's not. It's not Gog and Magog, because when you read Gog and Magog carefully and you stop listening to the false teachers and the false prophets and the false pastors, at the beginning it says Israel is living in peace and rest without bars and walls. Does that sound like Israel today? You hear the red alerts going off, each one's a missile or a rocket. And we have wealth and riches, we have gold, silver, and cattle, and they come to take a great spoil. Are you serious? You think that's now? Do you even know Zechariah 12's in your Bible? Do you even know that the two witnesses are burning up the enemies on the right hand and the left hand? And when Zechariah 12 happens, which is before Gog and Magog, because the tribes aren't back yet, and we don't have Greater Israel, and it's your Psalm 83 war, which precedes Gog and Magog, probably by a few years. Let me read you Jacob's trouble, okay? Most of you know about Jacob's trouble, but do you ever read it? It's found in Jeremiah 30. What verse? Good question. Maybe 17. Every time the bell goes off, it's a missile or a rocket. They probably did do several thousand already. I'll find it, don't worry. Let's read Jacob's trouble, the whole passage, okay, while the missiles are going off. The word that, and see if it makes any sense to us. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. The word is safer. It could be a scroll or a book in Hebrew. I live in Israel. I'm an Israeli. I'm a Cohen, a descendant of Aaron, which makes me also a Levite. For lo, the days come, and I don't wear head coverings. I like these hats because they block my eyes, which need the light, which my eyes need help. I don't have any kippas on. I like cowboy hats. They got good brims. They help my eyes. I'm old. For lo, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah. Now, captivity means return to the land. Now, Israel is the 10 tribes, and they're not back yet. Judah is Judah and Levi, and they're back yet. They're back, saith the Lord. And I will, I didn't do our praise. I always do praise. Let's do it. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. Few people ever do that with the right names. There's no J in the Hebrew alphabet, so there can't be a name Jehovah and there can't be a name Jesus. The J doesn't exist. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave their fathers, and they shall possess it. And these are the words that Jehovah spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith Jehovah, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear, and not of peace. So when you listen to the false teacher, false pastor, false prophet narrative, oh, the man's going to come and he's going to speak peace and there's going to be a 7-year deal and in the middle he's going to break a covenant and It says here, heard of trembling and fear and not of peace. Follow your Bible. That's your best friend. Ask you now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins? A woman in travail, and faces are turned into paleness. They're clutching their guts. Their faces look like chalk. They're that scared. Looks a little bit like today, but we're not there yet. But this could be the trigger for Zechariah 12. I suspect it very likely is some sort of trigger. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Now, they'll teach you that Gog and Magog is Jacob's trouble. But how could that be? Gog and Magog is the great day of the Lord. It's also found in the whole book of Joel. It's found in Zechariah 12, and it's found in Ezekiel chapters 8 to 11, right down to the image that maketh jealousy, also called in the New Testament abomination and desolation. Of course, there's no temple now. There's no secret or hidden temple or temple construction going on now. The Arabs would know, the UN would know, the Catholics, and it's not going on. There's nothing. I live here. Okay? So great is Jacob's trouble, but he is saved out of it. In Zechariah 14, the great day of the Lord, the women are raped, the houses are looted, sounds bloody to me, and half of Jerusalem goes into captivity. And the other half just stay there. If you want to understand why, read Ezekiel 8 to 11. And it's all based on bad things happening at the temple. There is no temple. Don't read just Ezekiel 38 and 39. That's what the false teachers want you to do. Read the whole book of Joel. Okay, read Zechariah 14 and read Ezekiel 8 to 11. It's all the same events. Then you'll learn the Bible's your friend. Trust the Bible. For it shall come to pass in that day, so it's a day, saith Jehovah of armies, that I will, it doesn't really mean hosts, it means more like armies, I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Okay? That's the UN, basically. But they shall serve Jehovah Elohim, Jehovah their God, and David their king, whom I will raise unto them. It's somebody, a descendant of David. It's not a literal David. It's elected unto man to die only once, and David died. So it's his descendants. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Yaakov, saith Jehovah, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar. That's your second Exodus. Read Ezekiel 20, starting in verse 33 to the end of the chapter. Read Jeremiah 16, Jeremiah 23. There is a second Exodus. And thy seed from the land of their captivity, and Yaakov, that means Israel, he changed his name to Israel, shall return. See, the rockets haven't stopped. And shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith Jehovah, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee, though I make a full end, That's the word for end, 3617. In Strong's number in the Hebrew, it means termination, destruction, consumption, annihilation. So we make the full annihilation or destruction of all the nations whither I have scattered thee. Now that's over 100 nations. This is in your Bible. This has not been fulfilled. It can't be fulfilled until the second Exodus happens, which is going to happen during this year of recompenses / year of redemption, which we're in the third month of. It's going to happen, okay? Because if it didn't, then the scattering would still continue, and then this happens when the scattering is over. They've been scattered, the Israelites have been scattered into all of Europe, most of the Middle East, parts of Africa, everything in North, South, and Central America, probably all the Caribbean. They've been in Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Australia, New Zealand, China. Yes, look in Google. It's obvious they've all been there. And they got treated like garbage. They had their goods possessed. Some got imprisoned, put in camps. They got thrown out of the country. That's why they're going to go into captivity, because that's the way they treated the Israelites. This is a controversy with the nations over Zion. I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure and will not allow thee to go unpunished. That's why you see in all these wars around the world staging with China and North and South Korea and Japan and Taiwan and Australia and NATO versus Russia, the EU versus Russia, Iran hooking up with China and Russia. That's why this is the staging. This is getting ready to go. Oh yeah. There is none to plead thy cause that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thy lawlessness, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable. For a multitude of thine iniquity, that's lawlessness, not following the law. Because thy sins have increased, I have done these things unto you. This is associated with the birth pangs. The birth pangs lead to the travail, the birth of the nation in a day. May 15th, 1948 was not that. It means the people restored to God, the Israelis restored to God. And all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil. Those are the ones that confiscated their goods and booted them out of their countries. And all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. Well, you'll see the two witnesses burn up, our lovely neighbors, if you take the trouble to read all of Zechariah 12. It's never happened yet. For I will restore health unto thee, I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith Jehovah, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion whom men seeketh after. No man seeketh after. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Yaakov's tents. Have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain. That's the temple after the manner thereof. And it goes on. All right. Now that precedes Gog and Magog. If people are teaching you we're ready for Gog and Magog, you shouldn't follow them, because either they're deceiving you on purpose because they know you don't study the Bible on your own. Hint, hint. But Israel is not living without bars and walls. They're not living in peace and safety and rest with wealth and riches now. And the tribes aren't back, and there's no temple. Come on. It's coming to Zechariah 12. That's not today, but it's going to go there. It's the beginning. Okay. Let's look at the chat and see if there's any more deletions of entries. Since I've been on, we have not seen more than maybe a minute without a missile or a rocket. Why is it still going on? Why can't they stop it? I wonder if they're asking Biden what they should do. Jerks. Jerusalem has been hit with rockets. They did get a body of an IDF soldier, and they did take it to Gaza. The Israelites, the Jews, get very upset if they can't bury the body of their deceased family members. Multiple Israeli homes and towns and villages not far from Gaza were taken over by terrorists. This is a slaughter that's going on. The Hamas leadership in Gaza is celebrating. Of course, they'll be passing sweet candy out in the street. You know, how sweet it is, have a piece of candy. The Israeli military, that's why I heard jets up here in the north. They're concerned that Lebanon may join in, which is Hezbollah. There's no indication of that yet. There's a large number of Israeli dead bodies that were taken back into Gaza. An Israeli number of rockets is coming in at over 2,000. That's probably more realistic. And that's over 3 hours or so. Pray for God's will to be done over here in Israel. That's what I would say. Pray for God's will to be done. This is not going to be over this afternoon. This is going to be many days of fighting, if not weeks, and we don't know who'll join in. The Lebanon might wait for us to mobilize into Gaza and then attack us. Israelis are being told to go back from the synagogues and go home. They're mobilizing the reserves. Yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. (1973). Let's see what the Gazans have to say. The Israeli cabinet's meeting at 1 o'clock this afternoon. I'll be right back. Give me a minute. Those bells are news coming in on my Telegram. And there's so much news, you can't keep up with it. But let's keep looking at what's going on with Gaza from their social media. We'll get a better insight. Although we got to take into account that they do not always tell the truth. I'm translating from Arabic. See if there's anything interesting happening. Residents of the Gaza Strip settlements, that's the Israeli settlements near Gaza, call on the army to speed up and intervene after many gunmen entered their settlements and opened fire randomly against them. It's unbelievable. This is the end of the government of Netanyahu anyway. You guys should make yourself familiar with Ezekiel 34. That'll be the end of the democracy. When you read Zechariah 12, the two witnesses are in charge, the governors, they're called there. They actually operate as judges, as per Isaiah 1. And they're in charge. They're running it. There is no more democracy and all that. Read Ezekiel 34. See if I can find more Arab stuff to translate. Or I can get Iran with their Farsi. See what they're talking about. You know, people in Israel saying, where is the Air Force? Why is there such a delay on this? What's Netanyahu trying to do? Oh man, this thing, there's so much news coming in, I can't even keep up with it. Yeah, what's up with Netanyahu? Why is he holding a meeting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon with all this going on? Are we set up from within? I don't know. It still hasn't stopped. This is very, very unusual. It should have stopped by now. What's wrong? Something's wrong. Hamas is saying they have 5 captured Israeli soldiers alive, but we don't know how true or not true that is. And do they have them in Gaza or do they have them in Israel? Surrendering to to Hamas is a pretty bad thing, but I guess they probably thought they would surrender and then help would come quickly and they would be rescued to some extent or something. I tell you the truth, something's wrong. The missiles have still not stopped. Something's very wrong. What the IDF is up to, I don't know. These numbskulls could be playing the game. We're worried about civilian casualties. Yeah, but what about Israel casualties, you mental midgets? What are you doing? This thing doesn't smell right already. Something's not right here. And the media is saying that also. You can see they did hit Tel Aviv. There's smoke clouds up there in Tel Aviv. Okay, that is usually a red line. That's where the rich Israelis that support the government, the millionaires and the billionaires, they live in Tel Aviv. And hitting Tel Aviv is going to be a big problem for them. It could be Gaza's leading the charge and there's more wars coming from from Syria and Lebanon and possibly Iran and Iraq and Syria, although Iraq is not as close to us as Syria and Lebanon. So many terrorists got in, they were attacking Israeli police stations. I never saw anything like this. It's unbelievable. And it's not a real army like when we'd get attacked by Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt. You had real armies. This is just ragtag terrorists. Netivot, dozens of terrorists are in the town. My gosh, did they blow it. The Hamas is saying they have full control of the border crossing from Gaza to Israel named Karim Shalom. And now they're just flooding terrorists in. Oh my gosh. This is major, guys. Israel has contacted UNIFIL, the UN force, that's supposed to prevent conflict on the northern border to do their job. Well, I doubt UNIFIL's going to do anything to help Israel. We'll see, but I seriously doubt it. They'll say, now you stop shooting those rockets into Israel now. I'm telling you for the last time, you stop. Didn't I tell you to stop? Didn't I tell you to stop? Stop, stop, stop. I'm writing a letter to your general, you know. What are they going to do? Got more news out of Gaza. Let's see if anything's relevant to anything. I don't know how true that is. Dozens of Hamas terrorists are still roaming around the streets in parts of southern Israel. This, I believe, is in Nablus, which is Israel occupied by Arabs in the West Bank, and they're celebrating what's going on. See, Netanyahu's ideas and policies and the other Israeli leaders over the years are idiotic. They've never fixed the problem. Well, maybe the red alerts, nope, they started up again. They probably just had to reload the launchers. Remember, a lot of the Arab news that you pick up on social media is not true. Air traffic at Ben Gurion Airport has been disrupted because of missiles and rockets. I have not heard of Ben Gurion Airport being hit. Dozens of wounded were evacuated from settlements to the hospital in Beersheba. Oh, Israel's going to rise up on this one, kids. Oh, yeah. If Netanyahu doesn't do anything, they'll drag him out. They won't let him get away with this. Israel's going to be mourning for a long time. This thing's not going to be over maybe for a week or longer. They're going to deploy special forces against these militants in the cities and towns and villages and settlements of Israel that have prisoners and stuff. And don't have prisoners, they're going to, I'm sure, kill them. They barricaded themselves in houses in Sderot, Netivot, and village of Ofakim in southern Israel. Yeah, they'll get... Yeah, they could shoot till the last bullet. They're still going to die. Israeli Broadcasting Authority said that they infiltrated us from the air, the land, and the sea. I don't understand that. You know, they don't have aircraft. I don't know what they did. The security in the north of Israel has been increased in a preparation for a possible attack from Lebanon. They're not telling us an attack is imminent or anything like that. They're taking precautions. Israel is expected to declare war at 1 o'clock this afternoon. The call up of reserves has been massive. Now we're being told that Israel army has lost control of one of its bases on the border. Missiles are still coming. I don't know what those geniuses are working on, but I have a feeling it's the same idiotic practices of, well, we don't want any, uh, side damage with civilians and civilian structures, so we'll just let the Israelis sit in the shelter and let their houses get blown up. And, that's how these idiots operate. You wonder whose side they are on, right? I do. Whose side are they really on? Street fights with terrorists in the cities of Sderot, Netivot, Ofakim, and Kibbutz Yad Mordechai, Kibbutz Be'eri, and many more locations. Street fights, I'm pretty sure, are gunfights. A channel associated with Hezbollah, this is a Hezbollah channel, said, "Today is the day when all fronts come together. That is a hint that Hezbollah and the Iranian militias is planning to join the war from the north." It is nothing conclusive here. Nothing. Now we're getting videos of terrorists being captured inside of Israel. Okay, so it's starting to shift. 2 Hamas terrorists killed while driving a stolen Israeli car inside of Israel. So the worm is turning now. Yeah, just because Hamas is screaming, all you other, you know, warriors, got to join us now and crush Israel, doesn't mean it's going to happen. There's a Hamas terrorist was shot down on a motorcycle near Sderot. Yeah, it's the worm is turning now. Hamas terrorists who infiltrated Israel towns near the border with the Gaza Strip filmed the murders they committed and broadcast the footage live. Oh, this is really going to cost them. Palestinian channels are now publishing videos that are difficult to watch. There was also the desecration of corpses. The Palestinians are saying that they have abducted Israeli soldiers into Gaza. That does not mean it's true. Hamas rockets fired at the central and Israel fallen Palestinian towns near Hebron and Bethlehem. Yeah, that's how they play the game. In East Jerusalem, Palestinian mosques praise the attack and call on Palestine to be ready. All right, guys. I'm gonna shut this live stream off, take a break, and I'll be doing live streams intermittently during the day. So make sure you're subscribed and you check the notices so you get notified when I'm on. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out.